Hi everyone, and welcome back to Wisdom Postcards. Today, we're stepping back into the late 18th century to explore a book that literally changed the world. When The Sorrows of Young Werther was published in 1774, it didn't just become a bestseller, it became a cultural phenomenon known as Werther fever. Young men across Europe started dressing like the protagonist, and sadly, some even followed his tragic footsteps. But why does a story about a heartbroken artist from hundreds of years ago still resonate so deeply today? It's because Werther's sorrows aren't just about a girl. They are about the universal, emotional prisons we build for ourselves. Let's decode the psychological traps of Werther through 3 life-changing lessons. Part 1. The Trap of Idealization and Projection. The story begins with Werther, a young man with a sensitive soul, escaping to a quiet village. There, he meets Lotte. She is beautiful, kind, and nurturing. Werther is instantly captivated. He writes in his letters, "I have found an angel." But here is the psychological reality. Werther didn't actually fall in love with Lotte, the human being. He fell in love with a projection. In psychology, idealization occurs when we ignore a person's flaws and inflate their virtues to fill the empty spaces in our own souls. Werther was lonely and lacked a sense of purpose. He projected his need for salvation onto Lotte. When we do this, we stop seeing the other person as an individual and start seeing them as a cure. The lesson: if you love someone because you think they are perfect, or because they complete you, you aren't in love with them. You're in love with a fantasy. And fantasies always eventually shatter. Part 2. The Escapism that Becomes a Noose. As Lotte is already engaged to a man named Albert, Werther's pain becomes unbearable. On the advice of a friend, he tries to run away. He takes a job at a diplomatic legation, hoping that hard work will dull his feelings. But it fails. Why? Because Werther brings his internal weather with him. He hates the rigid bureaucracy and the arrogance of the upper class. He feels suffocated by the real world. Werther is what we would call today a highly sensitive person, HSP. He feels everything at a 10 out of 10 intensity. Instead of learning to navigate his sensitivity, he uses his work and his environment as excuses for his misery. The lesson: you can change your city, your job, or your circle of friends, but if you don't face the conflict inside you, the pain will follow you. Escapism is not a solution. It's just a temporary hiding spot that eventually becomes a cage. Part 3. Tunnel Vision and the Internal Conflict. In the final act, Werther returns to the village. He sees Lotte and Albert married. Albert is the polar opposite of Werther, rational, stable, and grounded. To Werther, Albert represents the dull reality he cannot accept. Werther falls into what psychologists call tunnel vision. In his mind, there are only 2 possibilities. Either he possesses Lotte, or his life has 0 value. He has locked himself into a binary choice, ignoring the millions of other paths he could take. He becomes the architect of his own prison. He dwells on memories, rereads old letters, and refuses to let the past version of himself die, so a new version can be born. His internal conflict between his overwhelming emotions and the cold reality of life eventually crushes him. The lesson: when you make one person or one goal your entire world, you give away the key to your happiness. Life is vast, but if you only look through a keyhole, you'll stay trapped in a dark room. Conclusion: the lesson from Werther's tragedy. The tragedy of young Werther is a powerful reminder for us in the modern world. Werther's pain didn't come from Lotte, and it didn't come from Albert. It came from his refusal to be honest with his own soul. He chose the beauty of his illusions over the messy truth of reality. Final thoughts from Wisdom. Postcards. Accept imperfection. Don't turn people into idols. Love them for their humanity, not their angelic image. Face the truth. Stop running from your emotions through work or distractions. Observe your pain, understand it, and walk through it. Broaden your horizon. If one door closes, remember that you are in a field, not a hallway. There is always another direction. Don't be the architect of your own emotional prison. Break the walls, face the reality, and keep moving forward. Thank you for watching. If this analysis touched you, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Let's keep growing into a wisdom postcards together, one book at a time. Until next time.